Hey everybody, it's ProbablyRed. Alright, so what's going on today? We are going to explore the Justice faction. This is going to be a little mini series of videos, and in each one I'm going to take the few rares that you get at the start of the game. This is going to be an introduction for beginners, basically. Like, if you're wondering what list to run and you're a new player, well, this is all commons and uncommons and rares that you should get in the beginning of the game. And if you don't have some of the rares for some reason, because I'm pretty sure the game gives you all these rares. I'll have to, like, I mean, I checked, but I mean, the list might update in future expansions and stuff, so you might be watching this later. Just replace it with whatever you did get, as long as it sort of makes sense. Like, I'm even running Challenge by Law, even though I don't think it's a particularly strong pick. So, this is going to be a little bit different than my normal deck decks. I'm going to explain the deck first, so you kind of have an idea of what's going on. And then I'm going to play a couple games to show you like how I use the cards. So you have an idea of the cards, and then you see how I use them. So it's like kind of a overwhelming burst of cards when I start playing. I am trying to run as close to playsets as I can get with these. So for consistency's sake, with some cards you just don't need playsets, and I'll explain that as I go through. All right, so let's start with we're good to go. Okay, so starting off with Crown Patroller. This is just your basic 1 cost 2/1 unit, but it has an added benefit. If you have too much power and you want to draw some cards and your game's going a little bit slower, or you're just like getting flooded, then you could just swap it out. It makes your beginning hands, like if you've got 4 or 5 power in your opening hand, then you're good to go. You can keep a hand with a Crown Patroller because you could just turn that into a card and draw it. You know. So this just helps smooth out your draws. And if you like need more Justice Sigils, you can go ahead and turn one of your cards you don't need. Like for example, if you've got a Roland's Honor Guard you're not going to be able to play forever, or even Roland Merciless, then you can go ahead and swap that individual out, get you a sigil, and be able to play your your 3-drops and such, and your 4-drops. Okay. Next, we're going to go on to Trickshot Ruffian. This card is a pretty powerful card. It's so powerful that it got nerfed. It used to give lifelink. Now, it's still very good, but it doesn't help you as much against aggressive lists, or even like some fast mid-range lists it's a little bit worse against. But still, this can be a burst out of nowhere, and it could push through damage, or make them have an unfavorable chump block if they have got a smaller unit and you got a unit you just want to get through with damage, or a lifelink unit even. There's a couple of those, or you just want to get a Warcry trigger or something like that. It's just little damage burst, plus it's got a 1/2 body. I think it's better than Oni Samurai for the immediacy of the buff, but you can run Oni Samurai if you prefer. Also, I think I accidentally took one of those out. That's my preference. And you can interchange these. You could have 4 of these and 3 of these, or 4 of these, but I think this is just more consistent. This is not a 1-drop you really want on your turn turn 1 at all. Like you just kind of save it. You can miss a turn 1 drop. This deck is got just symbols on it, so your turn 1 sometimes will just be getting symbols. So. This is a surge unit. When you gain an influence, it gets +1/+1. It's also just a 2 cost 2/2 with Aegis, similar to Crown Watch Paladin. They hold weapons pretty well. There's not a huge plethora of weapons, but we do have a couple, and we got a couple buffs that like you don't want to fall off of a unit if they kill spell you with Annihilate or something. This deck definitely is suffers against Annihilate, but there's a lot of smaller units that are pretty good, well statted. I mean, this is a common, but it can be on a 3/3 most of the time. So yeah, Aegis is just extra protection, and Crown Watch Paladin's got you a little bit of Warcry action. It's the same kind of deal. You got your 2/2 for 2 with Aegis. The unit types don't really matter in this like Minotaur and Paladin. They can in other decks, so just keep that in mind in the future. But this is not a tribal deck. There is like a microscopic Outcast theme that could be ran in the commons and uncommons, because there are, or not Outcast, Unseen, I mean, what do I call them? Unseen Outcast was the card I'm thinking of. That you could run at common and uncommon, probably. If you have rares and stuff, you could throw them in there. But I don't know how good it is right now. I just think this is more reliable. Alright, moving on to Greenstone Officer. So this is a 2 cost with 3 Justice Influence. This is the first time the Influence really is a deal. Um, because you're going to need a Justice symbol to come out early. We're not running the 2 cost 1/3 piece of weapon, piece of weapon, piece of equipment, but the weapon that gives Justice Sigils when you attack. Can't even remember the name of that right now. It's more of a draft-oriented card, but I'm sure there's decks that could run it. I just don't think it's necessary. You could wait till turn 3 to play this because you want to have something to imbue on. You can just play this early and then risk like getting hit by like a torch. You're not going to want to do that as much against fire because they'll just kill it. Or even I think Primal's got, you have to attack to get the Primal Blood. Okay, so back to this card. It has lifesteal. So that's great. That's great. It holds weapons well in that sense, and it imbues really well. If you got something you really aren't using, like a Siphoner Paladin, like it loves the Greenstone Officer imbue, because like I mean that's just a huge stack of stats. And Siphoner Paladin doesn't attack into other units super well. I mean it's gonna survive, but you have to attack with several of this like type of unit to really get damage to it. It's better blocker. Okay. Um, and we'll get to that in a second. Here's another 2/2 for 2 with lifesteal, less influence cost. In fact, it actually gives you fate to give you justice, and I think that's kind of an important thing in this deck. You do have a couple of cards that reference your need for surge or your need for influence, so it's a good little ability there. Siphoner Paladin. So if you've got a unit that's just not doing anything anymore, like a Trickshot Ruffian or Crown Patroller that just can't attack in, you can just go ahead and plop down a Siphoner Paladin, sacrifice it, you get a nice 3/3 weapon. If you play multiple Siphoner Paladins, you can increase your relic weapon that it gives you, the Honed Blade, but there's no other relic weapons in this deck. Roland's Honored Guard actually received a buff recently, which was really nice. It's one of the rares you usually get as a beginning player, just for playing through the opening tutorial. So I really recommend you play through that. Also teaches you a lot of the basics. It's a great statted unit. It's not like mind-blowing, but it's pretty decent, like a 6 cost 5/5 flying lifesteal. That's the kind of unit that you're trying to make with your Valkyrie wings and your green salt, like other stuff. You're trying to combine stuff to make that kind of unit, and that just gives it to you straight up. It is susceptible to single target removal though, but if you're getting a 1-for-1, it's not the end of the world. It can really finish out a game though. And Roland Merciless, your scion for justice in this deck. You only get to run the one, but that's really all you need because it's a 7 cost. Some games you won't even get to 7 before you win or lose. One nice thing about this is the endurance. That means that you're not going to get shut out by a stun or a permafrost on this unit. But even if that were possible, if this gets stopped in some way other than silence, it has that ability. Your other justice units have +1/+1. So no matter what, when you plop this thing down, it might affect the board in a good way. You might get like, if you have 3 units, that's 3 extra damage that you could be pushing through. And then when Roland eventually gets to attack, it makes basically 4 3s when it attacks because it gives that justice buff, at least as long as he's around. So pretty interesting unit. Fun to play with. When you get it out every once in a while, it'll be really, really nice. Don't like just like feel like don't I don't know how to put it. Like it's good, but don't keep a hand that's like bad to have this. You don't want this guy in your opening hand because then you're just it's a card slot that's taken up what you actually need to play. You want your like 1s, 2s, 3s drops, some good amount of power, a couple removal, that kind of thing, You don't want a giant 7 cost in your opener. You want to draw into it and hopefully top deck it late game when you're at parity. The Elder's Feather. So there is a market card that does the same thing as this without the +1/+0 for justice. I don't know if it's still in the Expedition. I probably should have mentioned that this is Expedition, but you'll see in the title, yeah, it's Expedition. Because I think it's important to have a good starter deck for Expedition, because the lower ranks of Expedition, you're going to be fighting some people that are similar, like, deck list to this. You're going to be fighting beginner players like bronze and silver. If you haven't played for a while, you might still be in bronze and silver, like me. I haven't played Expedition in a bit, but still, that's besides the point. So this will actually give you a good view of how how the bronze and silver looks right now. That's actually kind of a nice benefit. But flying is a great evasion. And a lot of the units in this deck do not fly, and they hold weapons pretty well. So creating an evasive threat can be worth it. It's really good on Aegis units, because that means they have to get rid of the Aegis and then get rid of this. So you're not losing a card for playing this. Mantle of Justice. Now this doesn't really do anything like fancy. It's just a massive amount of attack and health. You plop it on an Aegis unit, especially, or even something that has Elder's Feather on it, like just like get through with massive amounts of damage. It's kind of paid for itself. It's like a massive burn spell. Or it can just make your unit really hard for fire to remove because they're trying to burn it, and they can't even respond to you equipping a weapon to one of your units or attaching a weapon to one of your units. So it's pretty nice. Valkyrie Wings, similar to Elder's Feather, but with a bunch of stats attached to it and Aegis. Yeah, it's actually just incredible. You can put this on anything, and that Aegis will protect it from getting removed. And then also you created a evasive threat with boosted stats. Like you could throw it on a Crown Patroller, and then you've got yourself a 4/5 flying Aegis. I mean, you paid 7 in total, but that's one of the worst units you could put it on, and it's still pretty good. And then with this, you got a 3/6. That's not too terrible either. I mean, it can get the job done. Let's go into the spells. Defiance. So if you're fighting someone more aggressive than you, it can be nice to just get rid of a really powerful 3-cost unit, like that just like is like their whole game plan, or just adding a lot of value to them, like one of the cheaper champions, or like a strong 3-cost aggressive unit. It can just be nice to get rid of them. And in a pinch, it can stop something that's just going to end your game soon by stunning it. It's pretty versatile, even though it is conditional removal. Now, enter the battlefield effects, those kind of triggers, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to get past that. Most removal doesn't. Pretty sure no removal does, but you know what I mean. Finest Hour, this can be what you need to get to finish the game or win a battle, more importantly. You don't want to be using this on units that get through unless you can win the game with them. Yeah, because you're not going to have any other, you're not going to have any burn that's going to happen. So getting through that extra damage to put them at a higher or a lower life total isn't going to help you with that top deck torch. It's not like that last ditch effort you're trying to get through with this deck. It's just not going to happen. Use the Finest Hour when you can, and you hope you don't get blown out. But it can definitely help you win trades. You can be fighting a 5/5 unit with a 3/3, give it Finest Hour, boom. Finest Hour is just a removal spell for that unit. We are running a play set of Wind Conjuring. So this is just like surprise, huge burst, give them endurance this turn. You can break stun, you can break permafrost. It just gets rid of the permafrost. Goodbye, permafrost. And then if you're doing pretty good on power, you want to be careful with this. You can actually this Wind Conjuring will replace itself. Very solid. And we also threw in one dive bomb. So since this deck doesn't have a lot of flying, there is a couple of, you got your Elder's Feather and your Valkyrie Ring. It's not enough. You need that dive bomb just to get that surprise end game. You get a little bit of plus, or you can stop a big flyer that you can't otherwise stop. Because this deck isn't running any of the silent stun cards. And then speaking of that, challenge by law. If you got like a really troublesome unit, and then your opponent has like 1 or 2, this is pretty solid when you're behind. You take care of a unit, and then you silence the rest. Otherwise, it's a pretty situational card. Honestly, it's more of a market card. If you got another rare that you think is better at 6, you might just want to run that. This power base is really simple. You run your 17 Justice Sigils. If you have the Emerald Waystones, that's great. Throw them in there. It's just a little bit of extra health. It's not going to mess you up because there's nothing that specifically references Justice Sigils. And these actually trigger pretty quickly. They're one of the weakest Waystones, I would say, but still. It actually can be nice. That armor can be nice with Siphoner Paladin. That is a little bit of hidden synergy in there. And then of course Justice symbols are fantastic, mind-blowingly good. Like they don't look good, like depleted, but in mono it's even better, especially with a couple things that call for it. So let's get in some games. All right, up against Etrion. All right, let's look at this hand. We were just talking about you don't want roll it in your opener, but to redraw and lose a card with a hand that we have a 2-drop and a 3-drop in, we're good. Like this hand is actually loaded. It's a 5-card hand basically, but we do have some late game potential, and we just have the ability to play both of these cards. Hopefully we draw into a small unit because we want a small unit to be able to sack to the Siphoner Paladin. Because if we don't have that, it can be pretty bad. See, they mulled. They got... Oh yeah, I think that... Yeah, anyways, let's go. You don't have to go to 6. I played a little bit of Magic Arena and it's got me confused. See, Kodosh Evangel is perfect. We can, just sack that to the Siphoner Paladin after swinging in with some lifesteal, and we're good to go. So, I think that's actually what we're going to go ahead and do. We'll play the Kodosh Evangel first. We might just trade for the 3-2, but I don't know. No, we're not going to... Yeah, we're not going to trade for the 3-2. The 1-5 can just block it. If they buff, then, well, hey, they got rid of a card in their hand. So, and Siphoner Paladin actually holds the Valkyrie Wings pretty well, because it makes an insane unit for Mono Fire to have to try to deal with. Ooh, I don't like that. So, they got a buff on their Kazuo. They did take 1 damage, and we did gain some life, but still. And that is a scary threat. That's so early for a 5-5. I suppose I'm going to actually wait. Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to sack something. I will plop down the Chain Whip Bludgeoner. Like, we're going to have to attack in or something. But we need more units. That's the trouble we're having. We do want to get rid of Kazuo before they ult, because it's like basically replacing itself. I don't know. Maybe they just won't attack with a Kazuo, but if they do, that's a lot of damage. Like, we were really... Okay, yeah, they did that instead. So, it's a similar kind of deal. We're going to take it. We're kind of in a pickle here. That helps a bit, actually. So, we're going to go Emerald Waystone. And honestly, we're not going to be stubborn. We got to play the Siphoner Paladin. We have to sacrifice another unit. We're just going to not get the weapon. Is that madness? No, it's not madness. We can deal with this. We can do this. So we're going to find a Sour. And it looks like we're going to find a Sour. We got Kazuo taken down. Yeah, that's easy. They probably have some kind of burn spell. And we'll block here and just go ahead and trade. Make them act first. Okay, so they seared that. That's perfectly fine with us. We could save our unit, but we're going to save this unit instead. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. Okay, so we did survive. We're not in a great spot here. We have to top deck something. We're going to die in 1 or 2 turns. Yeah, we did not. So next turn, yeah, we're in a pretty big predicament here. Next turn we have to draw something. You see how aggressive their deck is right now? It's really strong. They have flying, so there's not much we can draw that would be able to deal with this. Yeah, that's it. Good game. See, that was fast. Give that. Let's go next game. Okay, we're up against Ace Star King. I actually kind of like this hand. We got 2 units. And we got 3 tricks. And hopefully we draw into more Justice Sigils. Because some of the stuff in this deck is big, as we can tell last game. So it ended up being a mistake to keep those big units, I would say. We didn't know we were going against Mono Fire. If we had known that 100%, we wouldn't have not kept that. There was just like, it was like keeping a 5-card hand, is the thing. I'm pretty optimistic about hands, though. I think it's like, I don't know. I need to get a little bit more aggressive by mulliganing. Alright, but for now, I'm going to go with Crown Watch Paladin because it can get us a lot of value off that constant war cry. We can pretty much attack into anything with the spells we have, unless they have like a deadly unit. Which in Zenin, that's like the deadly factions. The deadly faction. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and get some armor. Why not? Swing on in. Alright, fight. Drop that down, and yeah, we have all the tricks. This is not good for us. An 8-8, I mean, we could stop it, but we have one of the rare hands that can stop it. Like, it's pretty rare that that's the case. We do have a pretty nice aggressive start, and we are making a big unit of our own. We can just, like, if we get a sigil off the top, we can just deal 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage with just this unit. This is pretty incredible. This is kind of an aggressive start, honestly. It's not exactly what happened there. Ooh, we can do some pretty nifty stuff here, though. So we're going to attack in. We're going to do something pretty fancy. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so they got that. That's fine. Honestly, I'm just going to play this as a 2-cost. Yeah, we're just going to play a 2-cost 3/3. So what we can do is we can swing it with both, get the... Yeah, we'll just figure it out in a second. We have a, like, because when you imbue something is basically what I'm getting at. When you imbue something, you get all the benefit of that card. Like, the temporary attack and health goes onto this unit. Okay. So, I think this is one of the turns where we just go ahead and attack in. Because we get 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. I don't know, I think we need to be a bit aggressive. Okay. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So that's gonna be 3, 13. Wow. Okay, so that's gonna be 13. Actually, no. Dang it. 6. Let's just go ahead and just burst down with this. I think we misplayed. They're gonna have lifesteal. What am I doing? We'll just do this. I don't know what the heck we're doing here. Misplaying. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, that kind of blew my mind a little bit. I should have took into consideration lifesteal. Yeah, wow. So you're seeing what not to do right now? Where did it go? Like, I just saw Curtains Call a second ago. I know they have it. Why isn't it in their discard pile? I don't know. We'll take the damage. I mean, we got some ping action going on. It's not the end of the world. We're still in an okay position. I mean, they have an 8-8. But, yeah. Okay. This isn't that bad. This isn't that bad. We can play some units. We can play some units. We will not plunder. We would plunder if we had a sigil, honestly. If we had a sigil, we'd just make it a plunder and start drawing through. We do have a couple of roadblocks, like, for draws right now, as far as, like, the amount of cost they have. I don't like that. Okay, good. At least, I wonder if this will save it. I'm just gonna, like, for learning's sake, try it out. Okay, cool. They got rid of our finest hour, but they didn't get rid of our unit. So now they can't attack in unless they want us to attack in. And we have Dive Bomb. So, I mean, that's not permanent. That'll be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage. It's not perfect. We had to attack one more time. Gives us a turn to drop the bludgeoner, which will be a better unit than the good old crown patroller. So we did make it through. I think we kind of misplayed. We had so many options with the kill spells, and not a lot of options. Like we had 2 units, but let's go ahead and surge here. We're gonna sorcery speed dive bomb so they can't block before we do it. Just sounds pretty weird. Not sorcery speed, I meant slow speed, not fast. I meant. So we'll attack through. That Aegis helps protect this for potential removal, and we got there. Good game. Alright, we're going up against Telb. Man, the loading queues are super fast in Bronze. It's pretty awesome. We don't want to keep this. There's nothing that is board presence. And see, it's like a free mull. There you go. Hey, you don't have to worry about the first mulligan. Plus, in this game, guaranteed you'll have sigils. You're not just going to have a blank in your redraw. I think it's like you'll have exactly between 2 and 4. It's kind of a weird thing that people might be like, whoa, I don't know about all that. No, it's okay. It's good. And see, we're going to go Crown Watch Patroller. We don't need Roland Sky or Honor Guard this early. We don't need that. We're good. We got lots of sigils now. We're good to go. We'll swing in. And that's that temporary surge. That'll get locked in for the Greenstone Officer. And since as Aegis, it's hard for them to remove it, like when I'm attacking with the Greenstone Officer for a trick. Okay. So we'll go ahead and attack into that. Yeah. We gotta kind of ask ourselves, is this trick better than this Aegis unit? And if we could imbue, it would be, but I think it's fine. I think they're playing an aggressive deck. They might just be playing a strange deck. I honestly probably should have went with Elder's Feather. I thought I was going to imbue, though. I don't know what I was doing with it. Yeah, let's just go ahead and... Well, are we really going to use all of our power next turn is what we got to ask. We kind of want to wait just in case they have like an anti-Aegis removal or something crazy like that. Or that. That's something to consider in its own. And then this, we're going to kind of confuse them a little bit. No. I'm going to go with that. Kind of a weird block. Yeah, it's worth it. And we're willing, actually, to replace that with a random of 3 cards. You get a choice of attachment. So you get a spell, you get a unit, and you get an attachment. And since we just went down, okay, I don't think Entermine's very good. Give one of your units +1/+1 +1/+1 this turn, plus an additional +1/+1 for each other's, but no. We're just gonna get the nifty little outcast because it can give something lifesteal if it dies. And that wrecked that. That was a lot of damage we're losing. We're not super aggressive. The tricks are supposed to be kill spells, and killing an impending doom is fantastic. See, now we wish we had another one, right? Okay. Need a big unit. We can always get that back later. We're gonna swing with 6/5. This will die. Boom, ba bang, bang. We're good to go. And see, it kept the temp stat until end of turn because it just checked what's its current attack, what's its current health. The imbue. We can take 5. We got a 6/5 life. Steal. Let's see what they're gonna play though. They gotta have something. These are really cool sleeves. Yeah, probably have something fast speed. We'll have to see. This getting surged doesn't really matter right now, so we're not even gonna mess with that. We're gonna attack all out. We're gonna make them have it. Of course. I mean, it's an open field. Okay, they did Death Strike us here. Well, not fantastic for us. We are holding back to where we might draw a sigil next turn, but we want that double surge next turn. Especially so we can get through that 5/5. And they decide to go on the defensive. Ooh, I don't like that card. Okay. It's double surge. Okay. And then, so they'll get cudgels. Not fond of that. So let them get a cudgel. It's fine. This is a super strong card. This card used to like just dominate the game. They get a cudgel. Yep. We got an okay board, but against that, we gotta have. Oh, no big deal. That's scary. Okay. So honestly, our best bet here is the A space and hopefully get rid of the statuary maiden, or maybe the champion. I don't know. Okay. Let's see what the aftermath leaves. Okay, yeah, we want some lifesteal action there. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to sack something. They just got a humongous buff. Honestly, they're about to have a humongous unit. They have so many cudgels, they're not gonna play them all, you know? God, that gives them another cudgel. See, it's hard to deal with that unit. I'm serious. We might have just kept the 2-4. We're in a pretty bad spot here. Golly. Yeah. Dang it. This is a predicament. If we draw a sigil in the sigil, I think it's gonna be way too slow. Because they can just buff that unit. We really just need spot removal for that thing. Even if we could silence, it's not good. We have to just chump block it. That's the situation we're in against this big unit. That thing with a bunch of cudgels is pretty gnarly too. Yeah, statuary rating is a very, very hard card to fight against, I would say. And that's game. Good game. Let's go to the next one. We're up against Deathmocracy. Man, that's an intense profile pick. Okay. Let's see. Let's keep her. It's a good hand. That's a keeper. Okay. I really love this playmat. The statues are fun. Okay. We will transform. This is hard. I think I want the whole hand. It's just a 2-1. It's not the end of the world. This will be fine. We'll drop a good old Chain Whip Bludgeoner. Let's get our 3-drop. Get our surge action here. We'll attack out. We'll drop our Siphoner Paladin. It's kind of one of the plays that makes Siphoner Paladin a little bit more aggressive, which is nice. I think Siphoner Paladin is ridiculously good. I mean, it has situations where it's not great, but it also has situations where it's sort of amazing. Okay, we did get a surge. I want to keep this unit, so I honestly will just kill that. It's not the strongest unit we're gonna see from our opponent, I would say, but I feel like that was just save our unit versus the relic weapon. Okay, it might be. We have a pretty aggressive start. This might be it. We need another sigil really badly, so we can get this mantle on. This mantle's, we haven't seen this mantle any of the games so far, and it doesn't look like much, but it's okay. We got double surge. I'm not afraid of that. We're good. We're good. Really, really want to play this mantle though. We're actually having a pretty good list against them right now. This deck has a very strong beginning, and it's got a couple of late game effects that it can win the game with. That's kind of like the whole setup of this deck. Simple, a lot of decisions, which is nice. I think this deck covers like the demographics of players pretty well. Like, oh, not demographics, psychographics of players pretty well. I think almost anybody would probably enjoy playing this deck, except maybe like combo players, not exactly their forte. There's not a lot of combinations, there's not a lot of hyper synergy, nothing like that going on in this. It's kind of just a beatdown, but it is definitely a fun deck to play. It's got several decision points, so you know that pleases the spike or the competitive player who likes making decisions, like what's the correct decision, how can I improve my game through my decision making. Helps you through that. Probably not a good idea to invoke here. They have 0 up though. I think we won. And go ahead and take the smallest cost thing. We're not gonna need it. In this case, we just like invoked our third power. So good. We won that one. Alright, and we're gonna go on to one last game. This next one's the last one. Danu is our opponent. This is our last battle of this video. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of 1-drops. Wow. Okay. We can keep this. This is a fun little hand. We'll see what this deck can do. Honestly, I'm just going to drop the Defiance. We could have a threat that they might be willing to attack with, though, that we might want the Defiance for. We also kind of need sigils. If we're on the play... we're not. These aren't going to be too good in the beginning, actually, so we might just plunder them away. Yeah. Let's go Crown Watch. We only need 1 Trickshot Ruffian. That's the best call, I would say. So now we have 3. Good baseline. I mean, 1-drops are fine, but they're not the end-all be-all. That's really good. So we'll swing in. We actually want to play this Trickshot Ruffian as late as possible, because it gets better the later the game is, to a certain extent. Once you've played out your hand for the first time, and then you're kind of top decking, it's only like a 50% chance that a turn will make it better. So, not even 50, it's like a 33% chance. So in this case, I think I just want to go ahead and be a little aggressive here. Honestly, that's 3. Yeah, they'll still kill us. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, Dawnwalker, how much they got? All they have to do is play a 5 cost, because they're mono time, it looks like. We're not going to mess with that. We're not going to waste the 2-1. We'll let them swing in. Blocking it doesn't do much either, because of the overwhelm. We want to be aggressive, but we don't want to waste, you know? There's times where it's worth it to push so hard you're wasting, but there's no potential damage. So it's not really an aggressive play, it's kind of a trade play with them putting the decision in their hands. Okay. Every single faction unit in our hand just got silenced. Which wasn't the end of the world, but when the enemy player plays a unit, they gain a life. Okay, when we play a unit, our opponent gains a life. Denu gains a life. Not good. And this just became like, they just basically made us discard this. We don't want to give them a life. So this did get surged, but not enough. We waited too long, so now our opponent kind of knows we don't have it. So that's why we didn't, you know, we'll give them a life. We're getting value over time. We're not going to play our 1-drops yet. We'll play them like as chump blockers later in the game. We might just want to drop them now, but I don't know. I haven't played against Ubzat before. Might sound crazy, but yeah. Also, fun fact, Tazbu is Ubzat backwards. This is the light radiant to Tazbu, the dark radiant. Do they have another card in their hand that'll bring back Dawnwalker? We'll just let it go. No big deal. So now they're a little bit, like, hesitant, potentially, to play their big unit because they might want to bring back the Dawnwalker if I do decide to block next turn. Because they can tell I was considering it. I'm assuming that's what's going on. Ugh. Big stuff. Big stuff is bad. We are getting through. We have chump blockers. It's not the end of the world. That might have been. They might have done that pause on purpose. Like, we just need to drop these. We're not going to be aggressive enough to get rid of them. We need the chump blockers eventually anyways. Just get them through. We got a Defiance up. We're good. We'll block here. We'll block here. Get rid of the aggression. You know, save ourselves 2 life. This Elder Feather is kind of saving us the potential to win the game. It might bring the game in. If they just do full attacks, that's actually kind of a good thing. As long as we can block enough to survive, we're good to go. Chump a little bit. Lets us get through with some of our smaller stuff. Definitely can chump block with this. And we can kill that for sure. This is going to be our biggest issue. If they get to 8, that giant's not going to be great for us. Oh my gosh. Wow. Until your attacks, play the top card of your deck for free. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and block this. We'll take 3. Yeah, we'll just take it. We stun a couple units. Depending on what we draw. We'll just, you know, keep pinging. Keep on pinging, get that Warcry trigger. We'll drop this. Play the top. Hopefully it's a sigil, that's all I can say. Because we don't want Dawnwalker to come back. Ugh. Gonna try to kill the Ubzat. I'll stun it, I guess. No, we're gonna kill it. We're gonna kill it and we'll stun the 7-8. I really, really don't want them to get a giant. Because the giant will not only like be a horrible threat, it'll also bring back the Dawnwalker. Yeah. It's a solid pick. Okay. So let's go ahead and block like this. Yep. I think it's our best bet. Trade a little bit to get a lot. Killing that thing is gonna be a good thing. Okay, another bludgeoner. At least they don't get life off of it this time. We still get to ping. Now we got 1 Defiance up that we can play with our power. Whew, they got it. Time is a pretty hard matchup. Crack the earth. Okay, they're gonna get a 5-cost card from the market. I can't imagine what it is. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything. That's a good one. Wow. I think that's game. We'll just stun that. We're gonna just keep killering it. Yeah, that's pretty terrible for us. I mean, we could see what we'll get, but that was a strong play from our opponent there. That's the all hope is lost moment. This is when you go into your deck and you craft Harsh Rolls, because that card would be pretty good. I don't know if it's actually in Expedition right now, though. We could get in for some damage. There's really no way, though, that we're going to survive this. Yeah, we're just going to exit game. Good game. That was well played by Daniel. I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and click like and subscribe. I hope you learned a little bit from it. I think that if this is your first deck that you're playing, I think it's actually a pretty solid build. Like it's got some potential. Like cards that you might want to build towards, like, let's see, let's go expedition real quick. Okay, let's see, I would say go with the rares first. Okay, so Harshal's not in here. Let's just look. Let's go. Let's check, because I looked through all the. Let's just look through some of this stuff real quick. Get a quick glance. See anything I would go for. Of course, you got to keep in mind the promo cards. They're their own cost. Like, you actually have to like get a whole set of cards to get these, so those don't really count. They're a unique type of rarity, I would say. And then promo cards are nice. Some of them are pretty good for various decks, but they usually serve a certain role for a certain archetype. Kira the Prodigy is a very good card. In this deck, actually, Kira would be pretty solid. 2 cost 2/3, and then you're running your Finest Hours, you're running your Wind Conjurings, you're running your Dive Bombs, the Trick Shot Ruffians. You might want to up that by 1 if you're running Kira. And then, you know, I'm trying to think of other ways that it's just, that's enough, I would say, to run Kira. So you have Kira as like, what would I take out in place? Because like everything kind of works, but you have to think of like what is the weakest card in this deck. Honestly, you could make it more low to the ground by taking out some of these big drops. They really didn't ever do too much for us. You could drop Challenge by Law. I mean, in that matchup, being able to shove a kill spell would have been pretty nice, but there's a lot of situations where some of these big rare cards, like you want some of your smaller rares that actually you'll be playing constantly. You don't have to have a playset of something to run, as you can see from, you know, Elder's Feather and Trick Shot Ruffian. You know, sometimes you'll have, and then Dive Bomb's just a one of in there. Jade Horn's also a strong card you can get to for a good 3-drop. That's an expedition. Let's see what else. And it's just a solid card. It's not so good as to, you know, be like a priority build. I don't think it's good. It's solid. It's just not like completely like wrecks your opponent. It's not like a Sandstorm Titan or something. Actually, it's similar in a way to Sandstorm Titan because it's just good stats. But it's not as good of stats. That card's insane. Plus, it's not that Sandstorm Titan's its own entity. Time's pretty strong. Other cards in Expedition that are rare and maybe mythic that, like, if you have, you might want to run them. Or there's a bunch that you would just probably put in a Peacekeeper's Prod, maybe just one, just to have that stun on a nice weapon, because this deck likes weapons a good bit. I'm not seeing too much. I think Silverblade Commander, honestly, if you have that, is better than Roland's Honor Guard. I don't think it's great though. It's you don't want Warcry on your late game units. But you also, like, I mean, Roland's Honor Guard's pretty good, but it doesn't have protection. Roland's Honor Guard's pretty good. Also, the premium art is super cool. What else? Not seeing too much in Mono Justice that you're gonna want to build to. Like Kira is the best rare I've really seen out of all of these. Very good card. And another way for your early decks, like I'm showing you the mono version so you can kind of understand like what's good about each of the factions. So Justice, what's good about Justice is the unit quality is pretty high, not quite that of the big drops that you're getting at time, but they have like the low drop quality is like peak. They got a nice like kind of just built-in synergy with weapons. A lot of the time, Aegis is great with weapons. They're just like naturally feel mid-range though. They're not they're on the aggressive side, but they also have kind of some pretty defensive units. They have a lot of variety of like ways you can build them, but this deck just kind of tried to use the best that we had as far as like picking and choosing what stats and what abilities we wanted on our units. And there is a little bit of a Surge theme, like microscopic, because Surge works with Imbue. It's just Justice. That's it. So have a great day. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope this video was informative and fun for you.